Hi, this is Hart, and we are going to make Cornhusk dolls. What I've gathered are 12, somewhat similar in size, corn husks. As you can see, it has a long flat edge on one side and a smaller edge on the other side. Right now, as you can hear, they're hard as a rock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in here to soak, and I'll be back. Right now, and they've been soaking for about 15-20 minutes, and they're soft and pliable. I can bend them in any direction, and they're not breaking. So we'll put one in the middle, one on that side. This is ripped. Let's finish that off. And one on this side. They all seem a little too big, but it'll be okay. And one in the middle. Okay. Then using a small piece of string, and we'll grab 12 inches. Then again, I guess it depends on what size your husk is. But I'm going to tie it not all the way at the top, down from the top a little bit. Even a good over, under, over knot. Trim off the excess. I don't mind leaving a little, it's fine. You trim around top. This will be your head. That's why you care that this is nice and tight. You're going to flip it over. The string's down at the bottom. And you pull them down and around. That's why it matters that your corn husk is so pliable to make the head. You see, spot right there at the top. The corn husks, originally, the first set that I used in a training class, came as a donation from Elizabeth Brewer. These came from Amazon. You can order them. It's a pound of corn husks. All right, now you have your head, but we need to tie off the head. So I set it down. I'm going to go up a little bit to make sure my head's not too big. Make sure I don't have any points up top. I'll tie this knot. Over, under, over, square knot. Trim the edges a little tighter because you'll always see that knot. There you go. Work out any little kinks. Smooth out your little head. Okay. The excess string you can use on cards or something like that. Okay. Now this is what's different than what a lot of people show, because I have a hard time tying the arms. So I have my big amount of string here. Okay. I am going to start from the small end and roll it up tiny. And take your time in rolling it up. And sometimes it helps if you roll it a couple of different times, just to get that roll a little bit tighter so the arms aren't so chubby. But if you have chubby arms, that's perfectly fine for Corny, your little corn husk doll, to make it. Now here's what I see that I prefer. I am going to start by holding it down and pinching this end with my finger. Then I'm going to tie a small knot on the end. Nice and tight. Do you see how it unravels a little? Don't worry about that, because watch what we're about to do. We're about to tighten it here, re-roll it, and then what's different is we're going to wind the arms a little bit. Not too tight because it'll pinch it, but you want to have it go around. to get to the other side. Now when you get to the other side, you do want to pinch it a little bit, like tuck it in. Let me show you. You just want to take it and you want to pinch it and you want to tuck it in a little bit. Okay? Why does that matter? Because you're going to take a piece of your thread or yarn, whatever you're using, and you're only using this twine to hold it down to make it easier to tie your yarn at the other end of the arm. So I'm going to just grab it and tie the end. Do you see how it's loose? It's not a big deal. Tuck it in again. And just tie a knot. And what do I do with that twine that I just left wrapped around there? Well, you don't worry about it too much. That tip is done. Because look, you can now unwrap your twine and you have your arms and you just need to cut both sides. So right here, you'll trim like this. And right here, you'll trim the twine here. When you tuck this under, it will hide most of that fold that's coming out. If you have a fold that's coming out, maybe it's just me. There's your arms. I'm afraid that he's all tight like that, so I might put another knot there. But if yours didn't rip, you won't have this problem. But now you're going to tie a piece of string here. Move all this out of your way so you can see it better. Underneath the arms. This is your waist. And you just tie it in a double knot like you tied the other ones and trim off the excess. Now in this particular one, I do think that my little person has a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and tie her arms. But whatever I do to one side, I want to do to the other side. So if you have a rip like this, do it to both sides. And this, to tie her arm, I cut it into a little less than 6 inches length. But it depends on the size of the arm you have. Or if yours rolled perfectly, you don't need to do this. Cut off the excess. And I'll tie the other side now to match. So I'll get 6 inches twice. So cut 12 inches here. That doesn't look like 12, does it? No, I guess it is. And just tie this in 2 places. That's not a square knot. This is a square knot. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. If you need to work on your knots, do a YouTube lookup on square knots. All right, here we go. So this is going to be the back, because this is where all my knots are, and this is the front. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're looking inside of your mix for one that can be draped around as shoulders, okay? So this one would be really, really wide. That one's pretty much the same. This one's too small. Ooh, look at this one. That one's not half bad. All right, so let me take him. No, you can do this one too. Oh no, he's way too big. Look at that. All right, you can do this one. So I'm gonna rip him a little, which is no big deal. Pick up my doll. And wrap it around from the back to the front. You see that? So I just folded it over. Folded it again. Wrapping it from the back to the front to make shoulders. And you can even it out as much as you like. There you go. To give you the shoulders you're looking for. Now, you need string once again to tie it around the waist. Okay, so I've taken two that are about the same size. And it doesn't matter if they're really long or really short. This will be your waist for your skirt and your legs. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to rip them to where each one is about 2.5 inches. Find 2.5 inches, and I'm going to rip it at about 2.5 inches. 1, 2. That's not quite 2.5 inches, so I'll just save this other one aside. So there's 3 here. I'll do 2.5 inches again. 1. And it's still pliable. 2. 3, and that one's too small. The wide part at the top, the pointy part at the bottom. I'm going to, do you see this knot you already have for the shoulders? You're going to go above that knot. And you wrap on the left side, and on the right side, and in the back, and in the front, and on the left side, on the right side. Obviously I have 6 here. I say 4 or 5 in the instructions. 6 might be a lot. All right, then I'm going to tie it right at that waistline. And trim it off. You could leave it like this and say, I'm done. This is your doll, right? If you want it to be a boy, then you just separate the legs. You find the middle, and you can rip the one in the middle. And then you tie the legs with string. So you tie here, here, and down at the bottom for feet. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So I need 4 pieces of string, 6 pieces of string. So my 2 at the top are going to be bigger. So I'll tie it here. You know what, just 2 would be fine. You can do 6 if you want. Oops, that is not a double knot. There we go. That's a square knot. Over, under, under, over. Just always remember that. All right, that's a long one. That's a short one. Let's go back here. Now, where does it look like his legs would end if this is his knee? That's where I'm going to put his feet. I can trim that when I get down to the bottom, probably about right there. All right. I don't need this long string for that. I can do it here. Oh, maybe I do. All right. So I can cut this string in half. So tie the legs. It'll be about 6 inches. I'll make sure I give you more than, part of why I did this online is so I knew whether or not I gave you enough string. And I didn't. At least if you waste string like I do. 1, 2. Come back in. Tie it 1, 2. Slide it up to make them tie out. No pun intended. 1, 2. Now I'm just going to trim off the excess thread And the Cornhusk doll is done. Any excess thread on the back side? No. Isn't he cute? What do you think? So, if you're interested in a Cornhusk doll, I'm going to be sending some out to the Hartists, and some will go into the auction. But just know that the ones you'll be working with are even cleaner than these ones. There's no dark coloration that I see in any of the ones that I've sorted out that would go to you guys. All right, love and hugs, everyone. Hopefully you enjoy making a Cornhusk doll.